Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of How to Scale an Agency. I'm on with the Guillermo Bravo, and I wanted to talk to him about how he merged his SaaS company or his marketing agency with a SaaS company that does advertising for a lot of really cool industries. So thank you so much, Guillermo, for being on the show. Really appreciate having you.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So tell me a little bit about how that happened and why you merged your marketing agency with the SaaS company. What went down there?
Yeah, I mean, I knew my limitations as a marketing agency, right? Obviously, valuations are not that great for marketing agencies. They're like a 3-to-1 factor on your revenue. Software, it's whatever the investor decides or people decide. So there's a lot more upside for a SaaS platform. So my intention with the merger was, I started my marketing agency in 2014, focused on cannabis. So I was focused on cannabis retailers, helping them scale their foot traffic, which is how I came up with a business name, Foot Traffic. And that was my agency name at the time. But I knew my limitations as far as scaling and valuation. So, I was kind of reporting everything together in like a cookie cutter approach, using third-party tools that everyone uses, like Google Data Studio, Google Analytics, and so on. But there's nothing special about that. Right. And there's no real scalability there. And there's no data ownership.
Right.
So those are some of the main factors that came into play when I was considering doing a merger, with a software company. And it was really a match made in heaven, because I was doing SEO, I was doing paid search, and I was starting to dabble in programmatic advertising. And my partner, MediaJel, which is the company I merged with, they had built a SaaS platform, ad tech for cannabis, specifically for programmatic advertising. So a lot of the issues that I had as an agency, they were able to solve with their technology. And that includes revenue attribution. So being able to track sales on different campaigns across, hundreds of different e-commerce platforms, which is something I couldn't do at an agency at scale. I didn't have the pixel technology and everything to do that. And then I didn't have the ability to capture audiences with a pixel and then remarket to them. So those are like two big things that were really important to me. And then the reporting automation, like having everything update on the fly instead of us having to download sheets and do, pivot tables and whatever it is I had to do to try to figure out how to actually report on this. That was another thing, right? So like it's the scalability was a huge thing. I always had the vision. Yeah, I had a vision of, having, let's say 500 clients spending $5,000 a month with me. It was really challenging to do that as a marketing agency, but with a SaaS platform to back it up, it's unlimited now.
So let's actually talk about the programmatic side of ads. I actually had this conversation with my business partner, Christian, because he's running all the Google ads and SEO for my website currently. And I want to make it as automated as possible. Now, I know that there's a bit of a trade-off when it comes to letting Google, run the ads for you and try to, they may overfit the data, right? They might get it to a point where you're trying to fit them too much into a box and then they can't get you the right results. How do you recommend people utilize the platform? Is this something where like the goal is to help them make it automated, or is it just to give them more insights? What's the primary motivation for this platform? What's the goal?
One of the goals is to just automate the process of media buying. So instead of reaching out to different publishers and getting ad placements, you just go through us and you choose your audience targeting. So for example, if you want to target podcast listeners, and if you want to target people only in Austin, Texas, then you just add those filters and then you launch the campaigns and it automatically reaches those audiences without you having to reach out to all these people individually. So it's really just automates that process and then tracks the results.
So it's almost like automated PR, publishing, syndication, all sorts of stuff for people in a sense.
Yeah, well, it's automated technology for media buying. So like display advertiser, display ads like banner ads, video ads and audio ads, and just
Right.
automating that whole process.
And I know that, people watch this on YouTube as well as listen to it on the podcast. So if you are watching this, definitely check this out. It has how many publishers are on the platform. What is an identifier? What is that?
Identifier is any data point about someone. So let's just say your mobile phone, let's just say you checked in at Whole Foods. That's an identifier.
Yeah.
If you made a purchase from one of our cannabis retailers, that's a data point. And also what you purchased is a data point. All these different things are identifiers about someone that you can use as filters, right? So you can use, so just think of like me as a person. I probably have thousands or millions of identifiers about me based on my habits, whether it's what my habits online, but also in real world, because everything is tracked through your mobile device. You give away your whole life, basically because of your cell phone.
Right. Totally get it. And impressions served, I'm assuming, like, are you tracking this in sort of like a pixel where like it's going onto somebody's website, you're able to track this? How do you track impressions served and then also like the transactions tracked and things of that nature?
That's a good question. So impressions served, so we have a partnership with our advertising group Equitive, which is the second largest ad network after Google globally.
Right.
So they're based out of Paris, and they have 75,000 plus publishers within their network. And with our direct connection with them, we're able to see how many times someone sees an ad impression. So that's what that is.
Got it.
And then the revenue generated from that, it's all from our pixel that we created. So the ad is seen on Equitive, let's say on ESPN.com. They see that ad. They see it on dating sites, music streaming sites, and they're playing games, Sudoku, Solitaire on their phone. And then a week later, they make a purchase, and we track that purchase.
Very interesting. So the thing is, and I think a lot of digital marketing agency owners have experienced this firsthand. They'll come across a company like yours that has all this insights and data, and it honestly feels a little heady, maybe because it sounds like you guys might be targeting more mid-market enterprise. Is that correct?
We have anywhere from like small mom and pops all the way to enterprise clients, but we have tools for both. So for enterprise, we have the ability to scale across multiple locations, right? So having 100 stores in the platform. But for mom and pops, we have a self-serve model where people can just launch campaigns themselves.
So, with that in mind, like, what is different than your brand and your software than anyone else in this niche? Because I think that's the thing that sometimes gets lost, is you have all these really big brands with like all these data and everything, and it just sounds like everything is the same. So there has to be something different about you guys. What is different? What is 10 times better than anyone else in the space that you guys do that's different than anyone else?
Yeah, it's transparency into the customer journey of every transaction. So for every transaction, I could show you if you like.
Yeah, definitely. No, show me, because this would be really cool for the people watching. And I think you can actually watch this on Spotify too, for people who are, checking it out on audio. You can open up your phone and check it out.
Give me 1 second. Let me just pull up one partner here. Boom. So when I mean like transparency in the customer journey, you can see. So this is something that doesn't really exist even outside our industry. So our CEO really took the route of being transparent with everything. So you can see that this ad was served on 9/11 at 2 a.m. on an iPhone, on a Mozilla browser, on Meet Me. It was served 3 times.
Wow.
And then they saw the impression 3 times, and they placed an order for $16.20. And we know this because of probabilistic match using combination of their phone and their IP address. And then this is the actual order ID from the e-commerce platform. So we give you like full visibility, and you can see like they're all different, right? So
I see. Okay, so you're saying that you match the conversion to the IP address that came through and all this other information to track that this person that would have typically or usually been pretty difficult to identify has been identified through your platform now, and where they came from now.
Yeah, so IP address is one. We also do device model, operating system, and IP. If they click on it, they just get pixeled. So there's all these different ways, fingerprint. So there's all these different ways that we match an impression to a transaction.
This is fantastic. So okay, you mentioned that there's small mom and pops who are using this. I would say, you know, our breakdown, the people who listen to the show, and obviously a lot of agencies, the average agency inside my network is doing $65,000 per month in sales. Okay. So there are people who probably could afford this. What is are you willing to share like that starting price for someone to get involved? How do they use this? Yeah. I mean, because a lot of people are in the cannabis space that are actually in this network. So I'm curious.
Yeah, it's a $4,000 per month minimum if you're a partner. Mm-hmm. So we actually have built this to be white labeled as well. So if you have an agency, we can white label this for you. You have a $4,000 minimum monthly spend. And then after that, it's really up to you. You can sign on smaller clients if you like. You just have to manage them yourself, but it's,
okay, I see. So you guys can actually use this as a tool for running ads as an alternative to just running like display ads through Google. You could use this instead, get more reach, get into more publishers. Somebody could start spending $4,000 per month with you. There's no other cost. It's just that. And then
it's a CPM model, right? It's a CPM, $7 typical CPM, everything included. The way I like to talk about this in respect to the entire web is the web is broken up into 3 pies, right? Yeah. So one pie is search engines. So that's going to be Google, YouTube, Amazon, all these different search engines. And another part is going to be social media. There's going to be the big 5, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and all that. But then there's also thousands of other social media apps. And then the third segment is going to be mobile apps and publishers. So like Sudoku and all these different games on your phone, dating apps like Grindr does really well. And then New York Times, LA Times. So what we cover is all the mobile apps, all the publishers, and all the social media except the big 5. So you cover a big part of the entire web. Yeah. And the main thing to remember when you're launching these type of campaigns is that the publishers actually is not what's important. What's important is that you're targeting the right audience and following them wherever they are. So for example,
that makes a lot of sense.
For example, cannabis people, they play a lot of games. There are a lot of gamers that smoke cannabis. So there's a correlation between that and crypto too. Gamers, NFTs came from crypto. So it's just...
Okay, so I think I can articulate this pretty well. I think you already have too, but just to summarize it as succinctly as possible for listeners, your guys' advantage in this category is the fact that you are helping people get in touch with audiences that traditionally have trouble on these big platforms. If I could put it specifically, it's cannabis, it's crypto. These people have issues getting on Facebook, sometimes getting on these other
restrictions.
Big platforms. There's restrictions. So you're helping them.
They're called, it's just highly regulated industries, right? So cannabis, alcohol, tobacco, gambling, crypto. You can't place Google ads on most of those. If you do, you have to jump through 10 hoops to get that done. You can't advertise on Facebook either. So you still want to reach those audience members, so you can use, there's other platforms that these people are on. So
this next question will win you a lot of kudos with the audience because they love hearing people who are successful, their take on this. Why $4,000 a month? There must have been some product decision there as to why that's the floor. Did you determine that there's certain kinds of agencies, like when they're at a certain point in their growth, might make a good sense to partner with you? I mean, what's the reason 4,000 is the floor for you? Because a lot of this is product decisions, and I want to make sure people, really understand.
I mean, even if you're doing, unless you're doing self-serve, but in general, there's still a lot of labor involved with this, onboarding, getting everyone set up. So it's like
a SaaS some of those costs. Model.
Exactly. So we still need to onboard you. We still need to, in most cases, our agencies, they can't set up the pixel themselves. They don't have like a developer in-house to add a pixel. So we do it. So we baked all those costs into the 4K so that we know we're not losing money right off the bat, right?
Makes a lot of sense.
And it's also qualifies you, right? Like it's qualifies an agency. It's like, okay, number one, I mean, we, as agency owners, that it's usually the cheapest clients that give you the biggest headache. So
Yeah.
in most cases.
I totally get it. I totally get it. And you know what's funny is sometimes we actually did this math recently, and this is something that I think everyone should know listening to the show. So of the people that book meetings with us, just like we book a ton of meetings every month, 60% do less than $10,000 per month. But the people who actually join the software, they do only 10% does less than $10,000 per month. So what we do is all the people who meet with us, we try to give them a ton of value with like a free offer. So this is my next question for you. We try to give them a ton of value with a free offer so we can keep them very, very motivated to be involved, to stay retained as like a user. And then when they do get to that point where they can upsell, they can become a customer, then they've already gotten so much value. It's just an easy transition. Now I'm curious, they can also be affiliates too. A lot of them are like referral partners, but I'm curious. So for your own business, what lead magnets are working right now for you guys really well? Like what's crushing? I'm sure you have something that just is getting a lot of downloads or a lot of interest. Like what's the thing that's tip of the spear?
You're doing it. We're doing it right now. It's webinars and podcasts. That's number one.
Okay.
So the way that you do that is that you gate your webinars. So we have a form that people have to fill out to get access to a live or a recorded webinar. And that's number one. And then number two is influencer marketing and thought leadership on LinkedIn. Those two things make up probably like 80% of our leads.
Well, yeah, and LinkedIn just launched. I actually got to get around to this. They launched LinkedIn Audio, which I have to do.
Oh, I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah, so that's a new thing, and definitely, anybody's listening, try to get on that because that looks like it's going to be a big trend. But where can people go? Just because I know we're wrapping up here, where can people go to sign up or watch one of your webinars? I know there's a lot of people who do crypto.
I'll go to resources.
Yeah. Over
and
here.
And webinars right there. Yeah.
Webinars. Perfect. So go there, get access to it. Go to MediaJel, not with a G, with a J, MediaJel.com. Is there anything you want to leave the listeners with so they can take away from this conversation about, how they can grow their brands in the cannabis space, and even I think like just general understanding of how programmatic advertising works. Is there anything that you could do to help them out? What's the best way to, get
I mean, I would say like some just advice, because I've been at the bottom, right? I started from nothing. So I'd say know your value as an agency and don't lower your prices just to get a client. Stay firm. So know your value, know the service that you're providing, and really, I would say differentiate yourself. So like I started doing cannabis marketing in 2014. If I were getting into marketing right now, I would do crypto marketing, or I would do something that is very niche and master that craft. And then you'll do extremely well instead of just doing marketing work and agency work for everyone. So I would do those two things. And then as far as programmatic advertising, it's definitely, it's a combination of science meets art, right? So you have the AI technology that does all the bidding, it makes it easy. But you also need the creativity side where you need to create banner ads, you need to create great landing pages. So you need to really balance both of them, because in the end, what matters for performance-based marketing is, your conversion rate, and how many of those clicks you can actually get across the finish line. So that would be
makes sense.
Really my advice. Yeah.
Makes sense. Well, thank you so much, man, for being on the show. Everybody's listening. Guillermo Bravo is an incredible marketer who has been able to build a SaaS-enabled or service-enabled SaaS solution that allows cannabis and crypto companies and also marketers who service those businesses to get way more advertising than they otherwise would have. If you're interested, go to his website, MediaJel.com, go to the resources section, learn about this, and then work your way up into being one of his clients, or even just maybe you guys can partner together at the very least.
Exactly.
That's a great way to keep your clients for longer, is send them with a MediaJel so they can do some of the programmatic stuff. So you can handle like website development or something else. But thank you so much, man, for being on the show. Really appreciate it.
You got it, Lucas. Appreciate the time today.